What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Talking About Theories, episode 139. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the college football playoff. The quarterfinals just wrapped up. So we're going to talk about the games. We're going to talk about the semifinals. We're going to talk about things that should be changed, things that shouldn't be changed, my reactions to each game, teams, things, everything that has to do with college football. So that's what we're going to talk about. So let's get straight into it. Just me for this episode today. Back at it, first episode of the year. So hopefully you guys had an awesome holiday. I know I was packed and busy. That's the reason why I did not make any content between my latest episode 138, which hopefully you guys checked out, and this one right here. So let's get straight into it. We'll go to the Fiesta Bowl, Penn State versus Boise State. Penn State winning this one 31-14. Really just kind of spoiled the Boise State Broncos, Ashton Gentry's hopes. Gentry, 30 carries, 104 yards, no touchdowns, did fall short of that record from Barry Sanders by 27 yards. Honestly, Gentry did not have that great of a game. Really good defensive line and offensive line for that Penn State Nittany Lion team. Penn State controlled both sides of that line. 216 total rushing yards for the team. Katron Allen had 17 of those carries, though, 134 yards. Tyler Warren, 6 receptions, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns. Drew Allen, nothing crazy, 171 yards, but did get 3 touchdowns through the air. Madsen, 304 yards, 1 touchdown, but 3 interceptions, ended up being very costly in the end when it came to trying to get some more points near the second half for the Broncos. So my biggest takeaways from this game, I mean, personally, I don't really have too much besides Penn State looks really good when it comes to the run defense and the run offense. I think them moving forward in the semifinals and potentially the finals is definitely going to be a big factor when it comes to their run defense. I think that's definitely going to control probably most of those games. Drew Allen's a very good quarterback. They have some good receivers, really awesome tight end, one of the best ones in the league in Tyler Warren. But if they don't have to give it to them and they could just keep going with the run game, I think they're going to stick to that run game. And I think it's going to be a really big games for Penn State moving forward here. Honestly, technically, I think could be the best team remaining if they stick up with that really good run defense and run offense. When it comes to the Boise State Broncos, honestly, very good season. Nothing to be ashamed of. Ashton Gentry put up one of the best seasons we've seen out of a running back, second in the Heisman voting. Honestly, it just seemed like their level of competition just did not give them ready and prepared when it came to a team like Penn State. But Penn State, to me, is better than a 6 seed. They do deserve a 5-4-3 seed around there probably if we did no conference champ buys. So I think Penn State is better than what their seeding really is personally. And I think there's a chance that they have the easiest road to the finals, but Boise State, regardless, great season, nothing to be ashamed of, and we'll move on to the next game, where we start on the Peach Bowl, where we had Texas versus my boys, Arizona State Sun Devils. Yes, I'm a big Sun Devil fan. I grew up a Sun Devil fan. I am actually an alumni of Arizona State. That is the craziest thing to say. I graduated on December 18th of 2024, so that's also the reason why I did not make a lot of content. Busy with graduation. So obviously you're going to see a lot of mini helmets behind me, a whole row of mini helmets there, ASU. There's one up there somewhere as well, ASU pillowcase, ASU LED light. So my eyes were glued to the TV. I was all for Arizona State. Don't talk to me. I am watching ASU versus Texas at Peach Bowl. And personally, was not happy with that second half. That first half, was something I wish did not happen. It was a bad first half. Let's get the numbers here. It started off 14-3 Texas after the first quarter. Texas putting up some really big plays. Their first drive, they had 2 plays that went for 25-plus yards, ended up getting an easy touchdown score. That gave them a 7-3 lead. Then right afterwards, ASU had to punt the ball because their offense was not moving the ball well at all. Ended up becoming a really big touchdown punt return for Silas Bolden, 75-yard touchdown punt return, which made it a 14-3 game very quickly and honestly turned into be a very scary outcome because at halftime it was 17-3 Texas. Arizona State was not moving the ball well, could not get anything going when it came to fourth down conversions, had majority of the time of the ball, had a lot more yards in Texas. Defense, honestly, besides that first drive, looked really good. sticking it up to only 3 points after that first drive. Special teams just was not it. They got a blocked field goal in that one. They gave up that punt return. So just did not look good when it came to special teams and offense. And that honestly made it a very difficult game in that second half for Arizona State. 17-3 into halftime. Texas, though, really good defense, really good offense. They looked like they were just going to blow them out. But third quarter, big win by Arizona State. They only won 5-0. Weird stat line, yes. They started off not looking too hot, got all the way down to the 1 yard line, stopped on fourth down. Scatterbo just could not get in there. So they got stuffed around the 1 yard line. Arizona State comes back out on defense. Shamari Simmons, a player that we have not mentioned at all in that first half because he had to leave, or he did not get to play that first half because he got a targeting call back in the Big 12 championship game in that second half. Had to sit out the first half of this game, his first drive, and he made a huge hit on the running back for Texas. Popped the ball loose. Quinn Ewers did pick it up. Fell down on it for a safety, but that's a big play. 1 play, 2 points. Arizona State gets the ball back, ends up going down and hitting a field goal in that one. So 5-point swing for Arizona State, which was huge because the offense was not moving the ball at all. After the third quarter, it was 17-8. And it looked like Arizona State potentially momentum's going their way. Offense is looking better. Defense is looking great still. What could happen here? But Ewers in the fourth quarter looked very good. He had a long drive by leading the Longhorns down to a 5-yard touchdown run by Ewers, a 13-play, 76-yard, 5 minutes and 24-second drive for the Longhorns, which put it up pretty much almost out of reach. It was 24-8 at that point. ASU down 16 points. You need 2 touchdowns, 2-point conversions. Did not seem very likely that Arizona State was going to be able to get out of that one. But ASU would find answers. It came down to a 4th down conversion by Arizona State, a 4th and 2. So we saw that receiver was one-on-one, McLean and their defender, and he decided, let's just take a shot. Threw it a little bit shorter than it probably should have been, but it turned into a spot that only his receiver could get. McLean picks it up, catches the ball, scores a touchdown. ASU is now within a 1 score if they get that 2-point conversion. 2-point conversion comes down. They get it successfully, 24-16. Texas still with the lead. They get the ball back, but ASU with a lot of momentum now. So 3 plays later, Quinn Ewers throws a big interception. Deep ball, really good decision-making there, but not a good throw. Just hung in the air too long. Javon Robinson was able to pick it off, turned it over to Arizona State, and now with 5:37 left, Arizona State down by 8 has a chance to at least tie this game up. And it started off with a big, huge completion, 62-yard completion to Scatterbo from Levitt. Ended up being a 2-yard run in the end for Scatterbo to give them a 2-point deficit. 2-point conversion was good after the second try. First try had to be redone because of a Texas penalty, but ASU able to prevail. 24-24, Texas getting the ball back. Man, was the emotions wild at this point. ASU should not be in this situation, should not be anywhere close. 99.9% chance, according to ESPN, win percentage for Texas at that point being up 16. ASU somehow gets their way back. Texas still gets that ball back, so it's still very nerve-wracking times. Texas able to drive down to the 30 of Arizona State with about 1:39 left. So a field goal for Bert Auburn, who is one of the most successful kickers in Texas history, and he missed it. He missed a 48-yarder, wide right, never was good from the beginning. ASU gets the ball back, round good field percentage, 2 timeouts, and they pretty much couldn't do anything. 3 and out. Unfortunately, that should not have been a 3 and out. 3rd down, ball was caught by Melquan Stovall. He was crushed by Michael Taft. It looked like a defenseless receiver when it first happened. No flag was called. Refs did come together. They decided we are going to replay it. Everyone's looking at the replay. Clear as day. Defenseless receiver, head and neck contact. Everything in the textbook for targeting calls that we've seen all season long in the past couple seasons was on this play. I mean, that was a textbook targeting call. Refs come back. They announce that there's no targeting, no 15-yard penalty. Arizona State is forced to punt back to Texas. Now, I just said my thoughts and feelings. I think that was a targeting. I think everybody, pretty much 99% of people think that is targeting. I have not heard anybody on a big network say that that was not targeting. I don't know why it wasn't called. There was one before that, the Javon Robinson interception that I believe Keith Abney was the one that hit the receiver of Texas after the interception was caught. Probably still would have been an interception, but I definitely could see a potential targeting call on that one. Personally, I don't think it was that, but I don't think that is any sort of okay to, if you're not going to call that one, you can't call this one. Taft's was 100% a targeting call. I don't know why they didn't call it. Now you're going to get into conspiracy theories of, well, you can't have a Big 12 team being an SEC team, one of the best SEC teams in the nation, in that fashion, in that kind of game, going to the semifinals to knock them out of the playoffs. I don't think that, hopefully that is not the case, but you also get that conspiracies of that kind of thing. I hope that really is not the case, but I also don't know why there was not a flag thrown on that play. That was reviewed. It took some time. The ESPN rules analyst said that was a targeting. Everybody on ESPN, Fox, CBS, any other sports nation station that talks about sports and has some sort of credibility said that was a targeting call. I don't know what the refs saw from the Big Ten officials saw that was not a targeting. So that was not targeting. ASU was forced to punt back to Texas. Texas got the ball back, minute 8 seconds, was able to get all the way down to Arizona State's 19-yard line for a potential game-winning field goal as time expires. Bird Auburn pretty much should be automatic. He's 9 for 9 inside 40 yards on the season. What happens? He overcompensates, puts it way too far to the left. Off the upright, we head to overtime. So overtime happens. ASU gets first possession. Sam Levitt ended up becoming pretty big in this one. A 3rd and 14 conversion, a 16-yard run, which then the next play, Scadaboo runs in for a 3-yard touchdown run. So ASU up 31-24, their first lead since the first field goal of the game. So ASU looking good. Just need to stop on defense. Texas struggled in the first 3 plays of the overtime. Could not move the ball. Ended up getting a false start on the offensive line on the 4th down. So it became 4th and 13. ASU pretty much has this one in their hands. Should be over. But Golden ends up finding a stream right through the middle. Ewers finds him over the top. Perfect throw. Touchdown. Extra point was good. We head to overtime number 2, 31-31 tie game. Overtime 2, Quinn Ewers' first play of the game, of the overtime. Gunnar Helm find wide open, over the top, easy throw, easy catch, easy touchdown. 2-point conversion was good. 8-point lead for Texas. ASU gets the ball back, ends up having some pretty good plays, ends up coming down to a 3rd down and an out route, and Sam Levitt threw up a 50-50 ball. It looked like he kind of underthrown it in my eyes. Personally, obviously, I'm going to say, like, if I was throwing that, you got to throw it high and out at the very least. He's a redshirt freshman. He'll learn these mistakes, but threw it a little bit shorter than it probably should have been. Undercut route by Makuba, and he sealed it with an interception there. A big win for Texas. A very nerve-wracking win for the Longhorns. Always going to be horns down from now on for me. But ASU, very exciting game. Outgained Texas 510 to 375 yards. Texas, though, they have not given up over 350 yards to one SEC opponent all season long. The last 2 games, Clemson and Arizona State, they did that. ASU had 510. Clemson had 412 yards. I don't know what that means, but it just was an interesting fact that I thought you guys would like to know. But overall, really good game by both sides. Cam Scadaboo had the game of his life. This is nothing new from Cam. I mean, if you're watching Arizona State every single weekend, which obviously I am, most of you guys are probably not, because West Coast teams just don't get the looks. But Cam's been doing this all season long. This game, he had 30 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's typical Cam Scadaboo. Running over guys, 100-plus yards, 2 touchdowns, that many carries. That's all Cam Scadaboo. But 8 receptions, 99 yards. That's also normal Cam Scadaboo. but a 42-yard touchdown pass to Malik McLean. That's also Cam Scatterbill. We've seen this in the past before. Last season, he started as a quarterback for one of our games because our quarterback situation was so bad. But Cam Scatterbill does this every season, every game, and I don't know why it took this long for people to know his name and what he can and cannot do. But Cam Scatterbill is the man. He is the best running back in the nation. I think he's better than Ashton Gentry, especially when it comes to big-time opponents. I mean, look at what Ashton Gentry did. 104 yards, no touchdowns, 17 carries. Cam Scatterbill, 30 carries, 143 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that's just the rushing. 99 yards, 8 catches, plus a 42-yard touchdown pass. So he had 3 total touchdowns. He got player of the game of the Peach Bowl despite his team losing, and yet people just start noticing his name. Hats off, Cam Scatterbill. You played an outstanding game. Round of applause because we're going to miss you. Arizona State loves you. We're always going to love you, but it's going to be sad to see you go, but I'm definitely going to be rooting for you once you hit the pros because there's no doubt in my mind you are an NFL quarterback. Other players, Sam Levitt, 24 of 46, not great when it comes to those kind of passing. 222 yards, 1 interception, no touchdowns, but he had 60 yards rushing on 30 carries. Honestly, he didn't make a couple big plays. He did look good second half, but first half definitely was really bad when it came to the offense. Quinn Ewers on the other side, 20 of 30, 322 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Matthew Golden, 7 catches, 149 yards, 1 touchdown. So really good game by the Longhorns. They actually become the first and only team in the FBS to win all 6 New Year's 6 bowl games. So congrats to you, Texas, for doing that. But really, honestly, hats off to Arizona State. I think that was an outstanding season. We were spoiled as Arizona State fans. We were not expected to win more than 4 games, let alone not even be last in the Big 12. What did we do? We win 11 games, 12 games. I can't remember exactly. We win the Big 12. We go to the Peach Bowl. We take Texas to double overtime. We come up with an amazing comeback that just comes up a little bit short. And we now look to the next season as potential. Let's do it again. Like, we're going to the playoffs. We're going to be a powerhouse in the Big 12. We're going to get a lot of good recruits, transfers. I think Kenny Dillingham is the real deal. He's got a new 5-year extension, which could go up to 10 years. I think Kenny loves Arizona State. Arizona State loves Kenny. And I think we're going to have a huge future, especially next season. I don't think we're going to be laughing stock when it comes to the Big 12 next season when it comes to the preseason rankings. I would not be surprised to see us at the top again. So Arizona State, hats off, great season. There's really nothing else I could say. I mean, I'm very proud of that Arizona State team. I'm glad to be part of that that school at that time. Definitely something I'm going to be looking back and it's going to be a lot of what ifs with that targeting call, with a lot of other things. They had chances to win after that targeting call, but definitely something I'm never going to forget. So thank you, Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State Sun Devils. Now let's head to the Rose Bowl where we had Ohio State versus Oregon, and this one was over from the beginning. Ohio State won this one 41-21. Will Howard, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns. Travion Henderson, 8 carries, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. Keyshawn Jenkins, 85 yards on 17 carries. Jeremiah Smith, true freshman, 7 catches, 187 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ibuka, he had 72 yards, 5 catches, 1 touchdown. I mean, that was 5 players for Ohio State that I just mentioned that all had outstanding games, and we're not even done. Defense looked great there too. 8 sacks, 13 tackles for losses, 9 pass deflections. This team was unstoppable. There was no chance that Oregon was even going to get close to this game. It was over from the beginning. They had a 31-0 lead, and that was only 9 minutes left in the half. I mean, they left that halftime up 34-8. Oregon was never really in this game at all, which was honestly rough to look at because rushing yards, 181 yards for Ohio State, negative 23 yards for Oregon. Total yards, 500 Ohio State, 276 for Oregon. Dylan Gabriel, just under 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, but negative 43 yards rushing because of all the sacks. Trayshawn Holden, 7 catches, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. Terrence Ferguson, 5 catches, 71 yards. Tez Johnson, 5 catches, 32 yards. So really not that great game. Really nothing even more to talk about besides very big disappointment from Oregon. I mean, I did not expect Oregon to just come out and pretty much shit the bed against Ohio State. I really thought this game would have been closer. I actually thought Ohio State was going to lose this game, and I'm an Ohio State fan. Not as big as Arizona State, obviously, but I'm an Ohio State fan. I really did think Ohio State was going to have a tough time in this one, and they really did not show any signs of weakness, which really does scare me because they look like a force to be reckoned with. They have to play Texas next series, and if I was Texas, I'd be really worried because the run game looked great. The pass game looked great. The defense looked great all around. I didn't see many weaknesses, if any, by Ohio State, so they got a lot to look forward to in that next matchup against Texas. But for Oregon, honestly, just a really disappointing season. You go 13-0, great job, but to lose in that kind of fashion, maybe they didn't want to get the bye. I mean, looking at it, all 4 teams, I mean, big spoiler alert, Georgia loses the next one. All 4 teams losing that have byes ends up losing. Maybe you don't want that bye, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But we'll head to Notre Dame versus Georgia. Well, yes, Notre Dame did win this one, 23-10. Riley Leonard, nothing crazy passing yards, 90 yards, 1 touchdown, but 80 yards on the ground on 14 carries. The run game looked really good from Riley Leonard. Gunnar Stockton on the other side, 234 pass yards, 1 touchdown. 8 different receivers had a catch. 7 of those had at least 2 catches for the Georgia Bulldogs. So they really were spreading the ball around a lot, but a lot of drop passes, which ended up costing them. A couple plays that I thought, if you make that catch, whole new game, but ends up costing Georgia there. 2 fumbles for Georgia as well. 1 inside the red zone and 1 inside their own 25-yard line with less than a minute left in half. Notre Dame was able to score on that one. They got 7, so they went up even bigger into halftime. Fourth quarter, 7:17 left, 13-point lead for Notre Dame, the 23-10 lead. They came out in a punt formation. This was probably the craziest thing I've seen, and it actually worked. They came out on the punt formation, ends up quick changing. All the guys came off. Everybody from the offense came back in for the substitution. Ends up catching the defensive line of Georgia offsides. Ends up having a free play because it's 4th and 2. Automatic first down. They weren't able to complete that pass. But regardless, ends up getting that first down. Bled more time off the clock. Did have to punt later on, but that was with 1:49 left, and that's pretty much game over at that point. So a 7-minute and 30-second drive for Notre Dame on that play because of that play. So really smart special teams play, great coaching decision on that one. Really caught them off guard, and Notre Dame moves on. And I think Notre Dame is the best team left. I think the run defense looks great. I think the run offense looks really good. Riley Leonard is a great two-way player. He could run, he could pass, he makes some really good decisions. I think Notre Dame has one of the better teams we've seen in a long time, even better than probably some of their teams that did make those national championship games, like Manti Te'o. I believe his team did go to the national championship. I think this team right now is better than that team and those most recent teams that did make those big games for Notre Dame. So when it comes to Georgia's side, honestly, I'm not surprised at all. If you guys watch episode 134, I said that Georgia was not going to be able to make it past them. I think Gunnar Stockton was going to be a big liability. Honestly, was not that bad. He did have a fumble in this one, but not having Carson Beck definitely makes a difference. All the drop passes makes a difference. Etienne did not look good. He lost a fumble as well, his first one of his career. So I think Georgia just really was not that great. I thought they had some good games in the season, but overall just was not good enough to beat a Notre Dame team. And I mentioned that earlier, and I was not surprised when I saw Notre Dame pretty much just take it to them. So congrats to you, Notre Dame. You move on to the next matchup. So when it comes to changes of the formatting, I mean, we mentioned all the bye teams lost. But when it comes to looking at all the bye teams, Oregon was not a good game. Georgia's was not a good game. Boise State was okay. They weren't great, but they also weren't anything special. I'm only putting up 14 points in that one. Arizona State, no bias behind this. They put up the best game of the losers. I mean, yes, you don't want to be the best of the worst, but if you have to take away anything, I still think Arizona State deserves a bye. I think Oregon deserves a bye. I don't think Georgia deserved a bye. I don't think Boise State deserved a bye. ASU and Oregon, of those 4 teams, I think are the only 2 teams that really show that they actually deserve a bye. You go 13-0, you deserve the best seeding in the playoffs. Regardless of who you are, I think you deserve a seeding in there. Going 13-0, only team in the nation to be undefeated. You deserve a number 1. Arizona State, disrespected all playoff long, all season long. I think they deserved a spot. They pretty much proved to the nation that they had the real deal. They had a great roster, and I think moving forward, I don't think that they should have not deserved a spot. The other 2 teams, they did not show up, and I think having that no quarterback rule from Florida State 2 years ago that pushed them out of the playoffs, I think that should have came into effect when it came to Georgia. They had no quarterback in this one, and it ended up costing them. They put up 10 points, the worst of all 4 teams. Boise State, Mountain West team, I'm happy to see a team like that in the bye situation, but we're not better than Arizona State. They did not prove it to be better. They didn't have better roster than Arizona State. Arizona State put up a better effort and a losing effort, obviously. But I don't think the changing of the seeds should be different. I think the only thing that should be changed is we need reseeding. I think a team like Arizona or Ohio State should not be playing Oregon. I think there should be some sort of reseeding. Obviously, that the reseeding would happen and it would still be the same outcome. But I mean, having Ohio State as an 8 seed just seems wild to me, especially in how good they've been playing. But I think reseeding needs to happen for the next season. And then also, I just don't really think disregarding conference champions as an automatic bye should be there. I think if you win your conference, I think you deserve to be in there. If you're a top 4 school and you lose conference championship game, why should you still be at the top? I mean, look at Texas. Texas versus Georgia. I think Texas is better than Georgia. That's disregarding this last game. I think before that, I still think Texas is better than Georgia. But you lose that game, I don't think you should get a 4 seed. And if you're going from 2, you lose, and you go to 4, I think they're in a perfect spot. I think they deserve a 5 spot, and another team deserves those buys. So I don't think disregarding conference champs to automatic bids should happen. I think that I like that a lot. Conference champs should get a bye. It's the best teams of each conference in there. I think that should all stick. So the only thing I would change so far is just get the reseeding. Just 1 needs to face the worst team, 2 needs to face the second worst team, and so forth. That's the only thing I would say changes wise that I would like to see next season. So what's next? We got 2 more games, semifinals, and then we got the finals. Semifinals will start on Thursday, January 9th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern or Western time, Pacific time. Jesus, excuse me. That is number 7 Notre Dame versus number 6 Penn State. And then Friday, January 10th, same time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's Cotton Bowl. We got number 5 Texas for number 8 Ohio State. My picks for this one. If you guys watch episode 138, I had Notre Dame winning it all. I still think Notre Dame can win it all. I got Notre Dame beating Penn State. I think it's going to be close, but I think Notre Dame is going to make it past Penn State. When it comes to the Cotton Bowl, I think Oregon would have gotten past Texas, but I think based off of how Ohio State played and based off how Texas played, Texas really did struggle to close out that game against Arizona State. I think Ohio State takes it to Texas. I think they're going to put up a great offensive performance all game long, and I think we might see a very similar game to what they do to Oregon in that second half. I think that first half of the Oregon game is going to be the second half of the Texas game for Ohio State. I think Ohio State blows it up in the second half, and I think they pretty much win with no contest. I think Ohio State Notre Dame is going to be the finals. Obviously, I think I'm going to root for Ohio State, but I don't know because my initial pick was Notre Dame, and I do like Notre Dame a lot. So if I see that in the finals, it's going to be a tough one to root for, but I have that as my finals. So hopefully that does happen. But let me know down in the comments. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the seeding? Do you guys not? Do you think conference champs should be biased? Should they not? Did you like the games? Anything? Let me know down below your thoughts and feelings on the past quarterfinal games. But that's it for me. Appreciate you guys listening to all of this one. If you guys made it this far, make sure you guys hit that like, subscribe, comment your thoughts and feelings about this game. If you guys are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you. But go check out the YouTube channel. We have more content that we don't put out on podcast format that you guys might like a lot. Plus, we're doing a lot more social media stuff the last couple of weeks to try and put out content for you guys. So TikTok, Instagram, our links down below. We're not using Twitter that much, but the Twitter is down there if you guys want to follow it. But I appreciate you guys listening to this one. Have an awesome weekend. Watch some college football, and we'll see you guys later.